Welcome back. Today we will be starting with the regulation of the blood pressure. So this is my last topic in physiology dealing with the cardiovascular system, right? So let's begin with the regulation in BP. Fine. So as far as regulation is concerned, we have three important terms to be learned. Okay. So what are the regulation we are having? First important thing is we are having short term regulation. We are having short term regulation. Okay. That is within seconds. Okay. So within seconds, our body can decrease the blood pressure. So it's rapid, it's very rapid, it's very fast as far as short term regulation is concerned. Now who is controlling this short term regulation? It's purely a nervous control. It's everything, it is under nervous control, very important. So we learned about the first important thing is short term regulation, which is very important for examination. Actually the regulation in BP itself is a very important chapter for you guys. Okay, so let's talk about the next important regulation is intermediate. What is this intermediate? Who is coming in intermediate? If you ask me, it is purely RAAS. Yes, renin angiotensin aldosterone system, right? So they are coming into role talking about the intermediate regulation. So it takes place within hours. So we will be discussing about the angiotensin 2. Actually you should be knowing about RAS, okay, so that you know about the functions of angiotensin 2, right? So I'll be dealing with this RAS in kidney, okay, in detail about the RAS mechanisms. Fine. So this is about the intermediate term. Next is that is long term. So we are having short term, we saw about it, and now we are having long term regulation, which is taking days and days for regulation of the BP. Now in this long term, it is mainly our kidneys. It is mainly our kidneys who is controlling the BP, right? So the regulation of this body fluid volume, this is nothing but the regulation, yes, of body fluid volume. How? By excreting urine or by conserving the urine. That's what the kidney can do. Yes or no? Fine. So we saw about the short term, intermediate as well as long term mechanisms. Now let us see each and everything in detail. Fine. Now when short term is concerned, short term regulation is concerned, I told you it is purely a nervous control, right? Nervous control. And the important thing you should be knowing is baroreflex. Baroreflex. We have some other reflex too. That is, one is chemoreflex. One is chemoreflex, baroreflex, and the last one is, it is purely CNS. So CNS is ischemic reflex. So as far as short term regulation is concerned, which is taking place within seconds, so three important things to be learned: baroreflex, chemoreflex, and CNS ischemic reflex. Now baroreflex is very important. Why? Let us see. So let us see the basic fundamental of baroreceptors. What are these baroreceptors? Baroreceptors are the sensory neurons which is going to monitor the arterial blood pressure. Very basic concept, right? Now the major baroreceptors located are in the carotid sinus. Mainly in the neck region, you are having this carotid sinus, where it is an enlarged area of the carotid artery just above its separation from the aorta. Yes, just above the separation of the aorta, you are having the carotid artery, and in that carotid artery mainly I'm talking about the internal carotid artery, we're having a bulge known as a carotid sinus. We'll be discussing later, no problem. And also we are having the septas in the aortic arch as well as in the right atrium. Fine. So this you have to know. Okay. Now let us see the baroreflex in detail. Baroreflex in detail. Fine. So it is a reflex arc. Why it is a reflex arc? See, when there is increase in the BP, there will be decrease in the BP. What I told you, there is baroreceptors, baroreflex taking place, right? So this is the example of which mechanism? Negative feedback mechanism. Yes, I have discussed a lot of times about this negative feedback mechanism. Fine. Now, negative feedback mechanism, as far we should be having some important things. What are those? One, there must be a receptor. There must be a receptor and there must be a sensory efference. Sensory efference, okay, sorry, afference, and that afferent should be our input. So there should be a receptor and there should be a input. And what is the last thing? Of course, there must be an output. And so that when you have these things, there will be response. This is the basic thing, right, about the negative feedback mechanism. So there must be a receptor, there must be some input, and you get the output, that is the response. And the response is a decrease in the BP. Fine. Okay. Now what is happening in receptor? So receptor is nothing but our baroreceptor. Fine. So baroreceptor, this baroreceptor, it is monitored by whom? By our pressure sinuses. By pressure sinuses, this baroreceptor is controlled. And because of this baroreceptors, okay, our regulation is controlled. This you all know, right? And location we just discussed now, where it is in carotid sinus, right? That is in the neck region. See, location, if you see, it is in the neck region. I have discussed. And neck region, we are having carotid sinus and then aortic sinus. Aortic sinus arch. So in the carotid sinus only, nothing but the dilation of the internal carotid artery. Internal carotid artery, I have told you. Now, which nerve is accompanying? Very important. Which nerve is accompanying the carotid sinus? Which nerve is accompanying aortic sinus? Listen carefully. For the carotid sinus, cranial nerve 9. What is cranial nerve 9? Yes, glossopharyngeal. Okay, so glossopharyngeal nerve, and for aortic sinus, it is cranial nerve 10. Yes, tell me what is the cranial nerve 10? Very good, vagus nerve. Vagus nerve. So, what all the nerves is coming? Carotid, so that is the cranial nerve 9, glossopharyngeal nerve, which is acting on the carotid sinus, and we have the cranial nerve 10, that is vagus, acting on the aortic sinus for increase in the BP stimulation. Both are there. Now what really happens? When the input is increase in BP, when the input is increase in BP, it is acted upon by which important two nerves? Yes, cranial nerve 9 and cranial nerve 10. Fine. When this happens, all those nerves, what really happens? It moves to the center, that is medulla. It moves to the center, that is medulla. And in the medulla, what really happens? there will be sympathetic nervous system as well as parasympathetic nervous system. Fine. So this very important now. When sympathetic nervous system is coming into role, there will be inhibition. There will be inhibition. But our parasympathetic nervous system is going to activate. That is very important. When input is increased in BP, our nerves, mainly the cranial nerve 9 and cranial nerve 10, is acting through, and it is acting through the center medulla. We will discuss the location later. And the sympathetic nervous system and parasympathetic nervous system are activated, and which is more activated is parasympathetic nervous system, and inhibition is through sympathetic nervous system. Fine. So you know these things, very good. Now what really happens? So what we have learnt now is about response. So what is the response now? Tell me, what is the response now? There will be decrease in the BP. What do you call for decrease in BP? Yes, tell me. There is hypotension. And there will be decrease in the heart rate. What do you call? Yes, there is bradycardia. So the response, if you see, for any baroreflex, there is hypotension and bradycardia. This you have to know. So baroreflex response is these two, hypotension and bradycardia. This you have to know. Now let us move on to know about the proper centers. Okay, let us move on to know about the centers. Now as far as centers is there, it is mainly our medulla. In medulla where? That is my question. In medulla where? In NTS. What is this? Nucleus tractus solitarius. And in nucleus tractus solitarius, we have discussed about two important nervous system, sympathetic, parasympathetic. Now for sympathetic nervous system, who is coming means RVLM. What is this? Rostroventrolateral medulla. In the medulla, where it is taking place? Mainly the sympathetic nervous system, that is rostroventrolateral medulla. As far as parasympathetic nervous system is concerned, where it is taking place? This may be taking place in the NA, very simple, nucleus ambiguous. Understood? Nucleus ambiguous. Fine. So we discussed about the location, center, right? Mainly the center we have discussed in sympathetic as well as parasympathetic nervous system. Now what you must know, when this nucleus tractus solitarius is activated, it is going to release something called as glutamate. Glutamate. Fine. And because of this glutamate, it is going to excite the caudal ventrolateral medulla. Well, who is this? See, when we have the nucleus tractus solitarius activated, it's going to release glutamate, and this glutamate is going to excite the CVLM, caudal ventrolateral medulla, and this caudal ventrolateral medulla is going to inhibit sympathetic nervous system, that is RVLM. Yes or no? See what I have discussed. SNS location where? RVLM. And because of this caudal ventrolateral medulla is going to inhibit RVLM. So only there is inhibition of the sympathetic nervous system, you should know. Fine. Okay. Now when there is inhibition of sympathetic nervous system, there will be inhibition of RVLM. This concept you should know. Okay, inhibition of sympathetic nervous system, there will be inhibition of RVLM because the location is where? There only. Fine. Now, when parasympathetic nervous system is concerned, which is taking place in the medulla, okay, that is where? In the nucleus ambiguous, there will be activation of NA. There will be activation of NA. So only the response of the parasympathetic nervous system is activation. No inhibition. Inhibition only sympathetic nervous system. Activation means parasympathetic nervous system. This you have to know. Okay. So if you know this, let us move further to know about the another set of reflex, that is chemoreflex, and then we'll come back to know about chemoreceptors. Okay. So in chemoreflex, what really happens is, chemoreflex. Now before moving on with the chemoreflex, I want to say one point, a very important point in baroreflex. See, the pressure changes, okay, the range, if you see, range for baroreflex is about 70 to 150 mmHg. The range for the baroreflex is 70 to 150 mmHg. Now look at this value once again, 70 to 150 mmHg. Is it systole? Is it diastole? No. It is the value of what? Mean arterial pressure. Mean arterial pressure, right? So the maximum blood, very important point, the maximum blood pressure where the carotid sinus can respond is up to 180 mmHg. That's it. Okay, the carotid sinus can only respond to 180 mmHg. If it is very less than that, our chemoreflex will take place. We'll discuss it later. Okay, so 70 to 150 mmHg is the range for baroreflex. Very important point where you must be knowing in examination. Fine. Okay, so next we'll be move on with the chemoreflex. You can see the second line after baroreflex will be our chemoreflex. Now listen carefully. When BP control is through chemoreceptors, then we call this as chemoreflex. Chemo means what? There are some chemoreceptors and that BP control is by chemoreflex. Now what is the range? Listen carefully. The range for chemoreflex is 40 to 70 mmHg. That is our mean arterial pressure. Okay, so 40 to 70 mmHg for the chemoreflex. Very important. Okay, now what is the effect? What all will happen? The effect of chemoreceptor is based on the effect of chemoreceptor. So this is our direct effect. There will be parasympathetic activation, same only. There will be parasympathetic activation and thus there will be decrease in the HR. Okay. Next, what really happens? As far as heart rate is concerned, this is I am talking about the indirect effect, where I am talking about sympathetic nervous system sympathetic nervous system activation. There will be increase in the heart rate. Direct effect, PNS activation, there will be decrease in the heart rate. In indirect effect with the heart rate, okay, there will be what? sympathetic nervous system activation, there will be increase in the heart rate. This you have to know. Now, what really happens in chemoreflex is that when, so we saw about the range, that is 40 to 70 mmHg. Now let us consider a case where the range is very less than 40 mmHg. Now what to do? Now what our body will do? This is the last point. What our body can do is through CNS ischemic reflex. CNS ischemic reflex. This is the last point what our body can do is through CNS ischemic reflex. And here CNS, okay, when the blood flow is decreasing in brain, okay, there will be CNS ischemia. There will be CNS ischemia. And because of this CNS ischemia, there will be activation of CNS ischemic reflex. So what really happens in this CNS ischemic reflex is that, let me rub these things and explain you about the CNS ischemic reflex. Okay, so what we saw? We saw about the activation of CNS ischemic reflex. So what will happen is that there will be activation of RVLM. You have heard this RVLM somewhere. What is that? Rostroventral lateral medulla, where there will be activation of sympathetic nervous system. That's it. There will be rapid activation of sympathetic nervous system, where there will be increase in about 250 mmHg. And because of this increase in 250 mmHg, there will be survival of the person. This is the last point. Okay. So since it is a last mechanism for our body to regulate the BP, it is called as last ditch stand mechanism. Last ditch stand mechanism. Very important. Okay. So we learned about the baroreflex, chemoreflex and the CNS ischemic reflex. Okay. Next, we will be moving through a very important thing. Let us see about the chemoreceptors. So we discussed about the chemoreceptors and chemoreflex. What are those? See, they are nothing but the sensory neurons that monitor the level of CO2 and O2. These neurons, they are going to alert the cardiovascular centers when the level of O2 drop or the level of O2 rise. So what will happen? There will be drop in the pH. Yes? Okay. Now this chemoreceptors, where they are present? They are present in the carotid bodies as well as aortic bodies, where they are located near the carotid sinus as well as aortic arch. That's it about the chemoreceptors. Okay. Next, let us see about the angiotensin II. Okay. So angiotensin II comes under what? RAS. I told you. RAS mechanism. There will be having the angiotensin II. So what is the function? We will be seeing, okay, under the chemical control only. So I will be discussing the chemical control in detail. But let us see the angiotensin II functions. It constricts the blood vessels throughout the body, that it raises the blood pressure by increasing resistance to the blood flow. And this constricted blood vessels, see, angiotensin II means it helps in vasoconstriction. This point you have to know. Vasoconstriction. And constricted blood vessels is going to reduce the amount of blood delivered to kidneys, and that is going to decrease the kidneys' potential to excrete the water. So excreting water, because of this vasoconstriction, it is going to excrete water. So it raises the blood pressure by increasing blood volume. Fine. So this is about the angiotensin II which helps in vasoconstriction. Okay. Next, let us see about ADH. It is a hormone which is produced by hypothalamus. Okay, and is released by the posterior pituitary. See, produced by whom? Hypothalamus. Who is releasing this hormone? Posterior pituitary. This you have to know. And what is the function? It is going to raise the blood pressure by stimulating the kidneys. How? To retain H2O. It is asking the kidney, please retain the water so that I can raise the blood pressure. Understand? So, raising blood pressure by increasing blood volume. Very simple. Okay. So, this is about the ADH. Next, let us see atrial natriuretic peptide ANP. It's a hormone which is secreted by the heart, that is the atria of the heart, where it lowers blood pressure. Lowers the blood pressure. How? By vasodilation. Okay. So, by vasodilation, there is decrease in the blood pressure by stimulating the kidneys. It also stimulates the kidneys to excrete water, to excrete more and more water and sodium. Okay. So, it excretes more and more water and sodium, so that lowers the blood pressure by reducing blood volume. Very simple. That is about the ANP, atrial natriuretic peptide. Next, we have nitric oxide, which is secreted by the endothelial cells, causes vasodilation. So far, we saw about the chemical receptors. So, chemicals is about the chemical control. So, in chemical control, if you see, either the response is by vasoconstriction and vasodilation. Yes or no? By vasoconstriction and vasodilation. Yes or no? We saw about these things. The important ones we saw. So, vasoconstriction means there will be increase in BP. Vasodilation means it helps the body to decrease their BP. Very important. Fine. Now, what really happens in vasoconstriction? Let us move further and learn about vasoconstriction. See, the most potent vasoconstriction is something called as urotensin. Urotensin. This you have to know. Very important 1 mark question. Okay, most potent vasoconstriction is urotensin. Now, we have one more thing called as a very important vasoconstrictor called as endothelin. Endothelin. See, endothelin, if you see, we have 3 important receptors, that is ET1, ET2 and ET3. Okay, this ET1, if you see, it is located, is abundant in the endothelial cells. Endothelial cells, which causes vasoconstriction. Vasoconstriction. Fine. And these ET receptors, we are also having ET receptors. See what I told you, classification of endothelin is by ET1, ET2 and ET3. But receptors also we have classification, that is ETA and ETB. And here we notice that ETA causes vasoconstriction. Fine. Okay. Now, what is the function if you see? Of course, it is vasoconstriction. Whom it is going to constrict? That is the lung, pulmonary artery of lung. Understand? Now, let us see a condition where there is increase in the endothelin. When there is increase in the endothelin, there will be increase in the, yes, there will be increase in the, tell me, pulmonary artery of lung. When there is increase in the pulmonary artery of lung, that condition we call it as pulmonary artery hypertension. That's it. Hypertension. That's it. Now, what is the treatment for pulmonary artery hypertension? We give a drug called as bosentan. Okay, we give a drug called as bosentan. Okay, not Bosentan. So it is nothing but the endothelin receptor blocking agent. So I'm just integrating with the pharmacology aspect. That's it. Okay. Now we have one more important chemical regulator control. You see, vasopressin. Yes, tell me what is the function of vasopressin? Vasoconstriction, right? So vasoconstriction. What will happen? There will be decreased blood flow. Yes, there will be decreased blood flow. So to minimize this, minimize the blood loss, we give drug in the esophageal varices. So during esophageal varices, mainly the receptor V1 receptor, okay, V1 receptor is there. Okay, we are going to inhibit this receptor for the treatment of esophageal varices. What drug is that? Yes, tell me. TERLIPRESSIN. Terlipressin. It is the analog. Okay, so terlipressin is the analog for the V1 receptor, which is helpful in the treatment of the esophageal varices. Understand? Okay. So other constituents, if you see angiotensin, yes, 2. We discussed right now. What we discussed? Vasoconstriction, right? It is present in the RAS. Okay, fine. Next important thing is that norepinephrine can also cause vasoconstriction. Next is about vasodilators. What are the vasodilators? See, vasodilators means what? It helps in decreasing the BP. Okay, so only these for the treatment of hypertension, the most potent drug, that is CGRP, okay, they are called as calcitonin gene related peptide. Okay, for the treatment of the hypertension. So most potent, fine. So most potent is CGRP. What is the most potent in vasoconstrictors? Any idea? Yes, tell me please. They are called as urotensin. Don't forget. Okay. So most potent vasodilator is CGRP. Okay. Next important thing is about nitric oxide. So nitric oxide, mainly the nitrates drug we give. Okay. They are the second messengers which acts through CGMP. Fine. Okay. Third one is what we discussed. Natriuretic peptide. Okay. So we have 3 important natriuretic peptides. We discussed about A and P just now. We also have BNP and also CNP also we have. Okay. In BNP, when there is a decrease in the BP, okay, we give treatment for hypertension. Okay, that is the analog. Let me use different color for the drug, that is nescretide, which is a BNP analog. Okay, nescretide. Fine. And also we give, okay, the fourth one is about kinins. Okay, mainly our bradykinin, you all know the function, that is, it is the vasodilator. So this is all about the regulation of the blood pressure. We have completed the cardiovascular system. as far as physiology is concerned. Okay, so thank you, have a nice day.